Thanks. So I have a little story, just to also talk about this. It's about when my dad went back to America on the plane, was it a week ago? Something. And he got the opportunity of sitting next to a Muslim. And they started talking about really deep stuff. And my dad asked him, he flat out asked him, what would it take for you to convert to Christianity? And the guy, I think, made a really interesting reply. He said, it would have to be God himself. I would have to see God himself come down and him tell me to convert into Christianity. And I thought, wow. And also Dad gave this to me to sort of reply, but that's really interesting. Obviously, God has done that with Christ. But what does he expect us to do after he left? I mean, we're supposed to be showing God, not ourselves, in this world. So, with that, this Muslim guy, he could see God come down to the world and tell him that Christianity is true through us. God can be seen through us. We're representatives, ambassadors of Christ and of God. So, I don't know, that was really challenging. So glorifying God, not yourself, it's a focus thing. Because we do have talents. I want to go back to the issue because one of the hardest things for me personally with this is when I am really good at something and I know it. Because then I'm like, well, I mean, that's what sets me apart from this person. So, you know, it's like who I am, so I should be proud of that. But it's a focus thing because it is a gift. And I want to go back to the question of, remember I said, well, what if you do spend a lot of time and you make that talent? Because God does call us to that. You remember the parable with the talents of money that he gave? He gave one guy 5, one guy 2, and one guy 1. And the guys that were blessed were the guys that took these and not only sat on them, but worked and produced more from these talents. That's what God wants us to do with the gifts he gives us. So I'm not saying stop practicing basketball because it's worthless and it's not God glorifying. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying work at your talents, produce them, but keep the right focus. Is your focus on your talent surpassing the worth of knowing God? And this video of an athlete, I think it really sums up everything I wanted to say. And it was interesting because I found it on YouTube, and it's from cbn.com. We're at CBN right now. Just fits.
Oh, man.
So, but yeah, I don't know. You'll notice this guy's a runner. He's an Olympic runner, Ryan Hall. He ran in the Beijing Olympics and he got 10th. But he just gives his testimony here, and I was really challenged by it. So.
Grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. The beloved experiences that he gives me enough strength to get me through each and every race that I've competed in, and to get me through those tough moments when you're hurting. One of my favorite verses comes from Proverbs. It says, though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again. I love that verse because that describes my journey, you know, just falling and getting back up. It's a big part of marathon running, it's a big part of our spiritual walk, it's a big part of life, just learning to get back up.
So yeah, I just want to bring out a few things that he said. The first thing was that we saw his focus initially was his identity as a runner. And he says, my identity was based on how I performed. And I thought that was interesting because that's what we do a lot. If we play bad in the basketball game, if we do bad at something, we feel down. If we do good, we feel happy. This is very unstable. But then he said, my identity shifted from being a runner and to identity of Christ. His focus became of how Christ saw him. And he even got to the point where he said, you know, I'd be happy to win a gold medal, but that's not my focus. I'd be fine losing because my goal is to run every step of the race with Christ and praising God. And I just thought that was really cool because he went from this unstable to a very stable identity. And I feel like that's the challenge that we all have, is we all know our special abilities. We have gifts, but we can't take these gifts and glorify ourselves with it because it'll just be unstable. So I would challenge you and myself to sort of, it's more of a shift of focus than anything, because we need to realize where our gifts come from and how we're using these gifts in our lives.